lot of factors account for rape and defilement in society. And government is one of the biggest factor, because a lot of these factors we mentioned are pointing to the negligence of government. Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria explicitly states that the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. It means that once the welfare of the citizens is not guaranteed, the government has failed. The government should cease to exist if they cannot secure the citizens and give adequate welfare to the citizens. The community is also another factor. The community, they want to settle issues of rape and defilement.
Which is not right.
Which is wrong.
Which is criminal.
It's totally and absolutely out of their jurisdiction to do. Rape and defilement is purely a criminal matter, and no community has the right or jurisdiction to resolve criminal matters unless it's civil and they feel they should resolve. But once it's not civil, it's criminal, it's against the suspect and the state. You cannot bring to yourself a case that's supposed to be settled by the state, and you are trying to resolve it by yourself. You are arrogating it to yourself unnecessary powers that you do not possess as a community. So that is the critical reason why people should speak up, people should report. If you are being threatened by the community, report, find human rights activists, find lawyers, find journalists, find people that can speak up and report to them. We are going to come for those communities. They don't have the capacity to confront security agencies, the old negative nose-diving assertions that police not the entire community is totally lie. There is no community that you have committed a criminal offense and say the security agencies cannot bust out there to bring you out. We smoke them out. So people should be able to speak out, because the parents, the community, they are all complicit of a lot of these rape and defilement issues in society.
While rape cases across ages are rising, sexual defilement of children appears to be rising even faster, as reports of child rape surface with alarming frequency in the country in recent times. Now, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has last year resolved that henceforth any defilement of a minor in Nigeria shall attract life imprisonment without the option of a fine, a dramatic escalation from the current 5-year jail term under the nation's criminal code. The resolution was reached during deliberation on the Criminal Code Amendment Bill 2025, which seek to impose stiffer punishment for sexual offenders and also related crime. Now, the bill, which was initially passed by the House of Representatives and later transmitted to the Senate for concurrence, received broad partisanship support. The senators described the defilement of minor as a heinous act capable of destroying the child life forever, insisting that punishment must reflect the gravity of the offense. The Senate also toughened the penalty for rape and related sexual offenses under the amended provisions. Any act of forced sexual intercourse involving a boy, girl, man, or woman will now attract a minimum of 10 years imprisonment compared to the previous 5 years term. Meanwhile, Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele has recently proposed an amendment to the Criminal Code Amendment Bill 2025 to the effect that a 10-year jail sentence without the option of fine should be imposed on anyone who supplies any drug or substance to a Nigerian girl or woman for the purpose of aborting her baby. This is an increase from the current 3-year jail term. But irrespective of this renewed push to deal with the issue, there have been a spike in the cases of sexual defilement of minors in almost all parts of the country, making many ask what next need to be done to tame this monster. Should more stiffer penalties be introduced, or should more advocacy be employed for this to be dealt with? Well, this and more is what this edition of Dialogue will be clearly looking at today, and that is dealing with the rising case of defilement of minors in Nigeria. And that's what we're having as a major discourse today on the show. We're looking at the rising case of defilement in the country and what needs to be done to indeed deal with it. Many are saying it looks as if a more stiffer penalty would do the trick, but others are saying it looks as if more advocacy should also take center stage. Well, anyway, like I said, it's taking center stage on the discussion today. And to truly help us talk about this, we have no other person but a guest that have for decades now been fighting the issue of not only rape, but also defilement of minor. in the country, and most especially in the Niger Delta. And I'm talking of no other person but activist Israel Joe. Activist Israel Joe, nice to have you join us on this lovely edition.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Now, I want us to start by first putting the record straight. And in putting the record straight, I want us to truly understand, is there a spike or an increase in the rate of child defilement, especially as it concerns minors?
I think that these things have been there in my career for a very long time.
Okay.
And it's really not a spike.
Okay.
But we are in an era of social media, so the reportage of these offenses is coming to fore when it has to do with defilement and rape. These things happens every day, especially in the rural areas. But because of the inventions of technology, ICT, people in these local areas now have access to internet, so they can quickly report such to the internet, and before you know, it goes trending. So it's always been there, but the reportage has now come to an alarming rate where people have now started seeing these things as crime, and they are really putting it up there to the public that this is what happened and this is what happened. You know, in a lot of cases like this, you see communities always trying to delve into it in order to settle because they are part of a communal platform. They are brothers, they are sisters, they are family in the community. So when these things happen, they always tend to want to resolve it instead of losing any of their own to the prison. And of course, not thinking about the debilitating, far-reaching effects, psychological effects on the girl child and the woman that has been raped. So it's not really a spike, but the reportage is now coming to fore with the advent of a whole lot of ICT in Nigeria.
Okay, now let's come to Delta State, which is our primary constituent, and also ask you. Yes, just like what you said, it looks as if we're having more cases being now reported, and it has always been there, but we're now having more awareness and more persons are now speaking out and also bringing it to the fore. But let's look at it. In Delta State, we've had huge successes as it concerns dealing with these cases, but yet we see it being perpetrated. So my question now, do you feel it's now at an alarming rate in Delta State also?
I think that a thief that does not have the opportunity to steal would consider himself an honest man. Because these persons have not had this opportunity to steal. Most people, this attitude to force themselves on women,
Minors,
you know, without consent has always been there. But they have not gotten this will of expression. That's why a lot of people say that they don't do it. So the report coming from Delta State and beyond is not really what it used to be. But like I said, there are more reportage on these incidents. And at the same time, a lot of persons that get themselves involved in these acts of rape, defilement, and a whole lot of them do not ever believe they will be caught. They don't believe they will be caught. That is the intent, the menstruate driving them into perpetuating the act because they don't believe they will be caught. And at the same time, they go into, you know, this kind of threatening the child, the female, the woman, that if you reveal this thing, we are going to kill you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to... you know, a research like for every 4 girls, 1 has experienced rape or forced, you know, sexual intercourse without consent. Sometimes even their boyfriends, they don't believe it could happen, but once it happens, they don't want to report. So that also brings us to the disadvantage of the negative pattern of this low reportage from victims, not from the populace. You know, it's easy to report a case when it's not yours. But when it has to do with you, would my community be looking at me that this guy slept with me, this guy raped me, what about my peers, what about... So this labeling from the society, this psychological discomfort that comes along with people tagging you a raped victim would allow a lot of these women not to report. But the truth and the fact remains that these things happens every day, and the men that perpetrate themselves in this act do not believe they would be caught. This is if we're talking about women, but we now have a whole lot of men trying to sodomize children, guys,
that's where
like
I was
male.
going. That was where I was
well.
going now because you've been talking about women, girls, and all of that. So my question now, I know you've handled a whole lot of cases, and more so you've also heard and experienced some of them. Now, is it only the girl child that is being raped, or the boys are also now having their own share of these monsters taking advantage of them also?
Not at all, not just the girl child. The boy child is now an endangered species in society because we have had series of issues where we have to arrest people. There's even a case in court, it would be contemptuous if I start talking about a case in court. But we have several cases in court now that involves a man and little boys. So we have even had a case where a father was, sleeping with the sodomizing the male child, the male child of the man. We had a case last year where a man was sleeping with his 5 years old daughter and also sodomizing the 7 years old male child. And the man we are talking about here is HIV positive man. You understand? The man is have HIV/AIDS and is sleeping with his own children. The case was at Otu Jeremy High Court that we're doing, and of course during I think 3 months ago or 4 months ago, the man died in prison. So I think that death also comes to the end of the era of that case.
But the sad narrative is the children have now contacted HIV.
For now, I think they will still go after 6 months to do another test. But of course, they are being handled by medical personnel and those things. The wife was very sad and heartbroken that the husband was doing that with her children. And all through the times where this man was behind bars, the judge did not grant him bail. Yeah. And of course, when this man was
severity of his case.
Yes, the woman was all there because the woman is also HIV positive as well because the man gave to the woman and the man died 3 months ago in the prison and
it's that narrative here in Delta State. But let's continue because I'm also a bit curious. You've talked about how really sad a narrative it is that anybody can perpetrate this when it comes to not just only outsider but family members. But I know, like I said, you've handled a whole lot of cases. Let's know the youngest of age you've seen. Because sometimes when we hear these things, we feel they are just from a Nollywood movie. Like you said, if it doesn't affect you directly, you will never know the severity of how it is. So let's know, in your own, in the cases you've handled, in most of the experiences you've seen, which is the youngest age that have baffled you and made you like, what? Really, some of these perpetrators might really be animals.
I think the youngest I've seen so far is 3 months old child.
Oh my God.
Where the father was fingering the child and of course trying to force himself on the child. I think that man was also sent to prison.
Here in Delta State?
Yeah, in Delta State. Wow. 3 months old child. So we have seen several cases of this. I think you saw the one of yesterday. Yeah. A man was sentenced to 60 years imprisonment with Ali, but yesterday at the European High Court, I was in court, for defiling an 8 years old child. This case happened in 2023, and of course I escalated it. It was all over the media space when this guy came to me and bribed me with 100,000. It was evading arrest. The police were not able to arrest him. He has given the community 600,000 naira. And he has been talking to me because I've put it there and he wants to settle the matter. So I technically told him to come. He said he's going to give me 100,000. I told him to come. I called the then DPO of Orope CSP, Joe, that this man will be coming to see me at Lofab Hotel by 3 p.m. today, Sunday. So you have to mobilize your men on uniformed policemen to come over so that we can get this guy arrested. That was how he came, and after giving me the money, he gave the child's mother 11,000. I gave me 100,000. I came with 2 other persons. And of course, we are there, trying to discuss, okay, we are looking at how we can, since we have paid the community, how we can settle this case. I sent a text to the DPO, who was already in the hotel, and he was apprehended. And of course, I tendered that money to the police as evidence in court and into the police, and also give evidence in court. Since 2023, it was yesterday, this man was sentenced to 60 years imprisonment with ad libitum. It was also ordered by the judge to pay 50 million naira to the victim if his houses and those things he can
They'll
put
be
up.
sold.
Yes, and to compensate the victim, who is now about 12 years old. You know, it happened when the girl was 8 years old. High men, totally broken. And not just defiling this young girl. He was also sleeping with this girl through the girl's anus. That's how sad the narrative was before, you know, a frantic social media follower called my attention to it and we swung into action. So these things have just been there. You know, like we said, the Senate, the legislators are proposing stiffer punishment until the day we are going to see death penalty for such punishment. The people always think they would not be caught until they are caught.
Well, anyway, that's even the bone of contention as it concerns perpetrators of this heinous crime. We've just talked about the age of how young these victims can be. But let's look at the age of these perpetrators. Does the age varies from very young adults to extremely old men? Let's really understand the age of these perpetrators.
I think that
that you've seen and experienced.
It's these are cases we undo, you know, on daily basis, you know, across board, Nigeria, Niger Delta, and even in Delta State. You know, we are seeing, if you go to my social media page, Israel Joe, you would see, go down, you will see that we have apprehended an 81-year-old man trying to, 81 years old man trying to, I think that case happened in Warri, you know, at Mademot Road or something. I posted it. 81 years old man trying to force himself on an 8 years old girl. Wow. So the ages of men are limited to the lifespan of a man. Someone that has the capacity, the negative capability to defile and rape a child does not consider their ages. Even when they are 100, they want to do it. And they might have been doing it since they were young and probably they were not caught. That is the dilemma we have found ourselves today in society, where a lot of people want to resolve these issues. Even communities want to resolve this. Like the case of yesterday, the man that was sentenced yesterday, he gave 600,000 naira to a community in Okpe, Ugolo, one of the Ugolo communities, to cover up this case. And they were all on it, covering it. The mother was crying out and nothing was happening. And these guys kept sleeping with her, deceiving this child, having carnal knowledge of her until the case came to us where we reacted. And this case in the criminal code in section 357 is there. In the penal code in section 282 is there. This is a criminal offense punishable in those same laws. And it tramples on Section 34, the fundamental right to personal dignity, the dignity of the human person, Section 34 of our Constitution. So these things have been there, and the reportage is now high, and of course we are trying to take it up and, of course, liaising with the judiciary to give a lot of these cases accelerated hearings, because when these cases are being protracted, being long keeping in court, it leads to this tiredness of the victim's family. You know, it's cost effective, money is going, sometimes they have to travel to the state
and yet justice is not served.
Yeah, justice is still far. So I think we are doing a whole lot of that, putting those things together in order to always get timely justice for victims.
Well, we'll come to the issue of speedy justice, especially as it concerns the victims. But I'm still a bit curious, and I know a whole lot of persons are thinking in my direction. We want to understand the mindset of these perpetrators, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. I don't see the sexual urge an 84-year-old man or 80-year-old man will have for an 8-year-old child that is not even fully developed. So I know you've had interaction with these persons. So let's try to understand their mindset, because for us, we really don't understand. It doesn't make sense.
Yes, it might
is
not.
Is it an urge? Because Nigerians who are always so religious, you say it's an evil spirit. But
no, it has nothing to do with an evil spirit.
Well, yes. So let's understand the mindset of these persons.
Yeah. We should always try to demystify a lot of things from culture, from witches, from
religion,
evil, traditional spirituality stuff. This is purely a psychological sickness. It's a psychological sickness that has eaten deep into the mind. No, psychology is the study of the mind, into the mind of this man. So their mental faculty does not think straight like a normal person when they see these children. That's why they are called pedophiles. It's a psychological sickness. And sometimes it lives with them till death. That is why it is important and absolutely paramount for maximum penalty to be delivered. And of course, if it's not maximum, life imprisonment, like this.
To keep them off the streets.
Off the streets.
Forever.
Forever. Like this 60-year-old man that was convicted and sentenced to 60 years imprisonment.
Which you know he will die there.
Of course. Even when they want to go to appeal, there are cases with prima facie evidence. These things are there. Appeal will not just throw it away. They looked at everything. They looked at the witnesses. They looked at everything. The step-by-step evidences towards medical and, is a taking carnal knowledge
of a child.
Without a child does not have consent. You understand, Michael? So a whole lot of this is a psychological sickness, and it should be kept off the society for life.
Now, I know this might. I know a whole lot of persons are watching us and are really, really concerned about this. Like we said in our introduction, it seems to be having. Maybe it has been there, as stated by Israel Joe, but it's now becoming more pronounced, and we're having more cases, irrespective of the recent bill being signed by, or rather being assented to by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and also being passed by this very 10th National Assembly, indicating that rather it should be more like life imprisonment for these defilers and these perpetrators of evil, and not the usual 5 years before now, imprisonment, 10 years and 5 years that many felt was definitely not stringent enough to deal with these issues. But there's this recent and growing call for the death penalty to be. But all of that and more advocacy to be done, hence a need for us to really look at this. And that's why we're having this discussion today on the show. Like I said, I still have no other person but our activist Israel Joe helping us to, we still don't understand how they think, but really helping us to understand this issue and why it's now becoming more of a growing concern to the populace. Now let me return back to you. I know my viewers, or rather our viewers, will be really interested to hear some of these damning stories. Yes, you've just highlighted two major stories that have touched us. But for you, tell us one of the most touching of such encounters you've had when it comes to child defilement, especially as it concerns a minor.
These are issues that we treat almost every day, my career. A lot of cases are being reported to us.
But which one have touched you the most and
I think the one
made you wonder and think about man's inhumanity to man?
You know that you cannot really, blood does nothing to a slaughter man because he sees blood every day. So it actually does not take any turn on him. But I think the one that has really touched me was that of the HIV positive father that sleeping with the daughter, the 5-year-old daughter and the 7-year-old son through his anus. And of course, it was really touching because this is, no matter how terrible a man is, even terrorists protect their children. Terrorists, they protect their children. The one of the world's best or evil terrorists, Osama bin Laden, would not with his hand slaughter his children. Do you understand? So for a man to be doing this, knowing fully that he carries a virus, a deadly virus, to his own children, young children, I think it was so touching to me, especially when I saw the wife weeping in one of our court sections in a Otu Jeremy High Court. I was there with the state council when I saw the wife weeping. Yes, she said she already has the virus from the man, which of course they are taking the drugs together and a lot of things. The man goes all out sleeping with, of course he's a bit influential with little money to throw around. And a lot of these are girls. Once it comes to money, please, I want to sleep with you without condom. They are out there, they want to do it because they want to get iPhones, they want to get hair, they want to get cream, they want to get clothes, and a whole lot of these things.
And he has been spreading it.
Yes, he has been spreading it, and the wife said that there is nothing she could do because they are already carrier of the virus. He even sees the man, their neighbors, he begs them that he has the principle of not using protection because of the intent to spread You understand? So when he begs the girl that he's not, of course, the girl will look at him, a responsible married man. I don't think he can carry any virus. So he keeps spreading it until the same mindset and psychological evil in his brain told him to give it to his own children, little children. He died in a prison, you know. He was remanded and, of course, he was coming to court from prison, and all of a sudden, the report came. Yes, the report came that he could not bear because he was no longer taking his drugs and those things. Although they appealed to the judge that the drugs should be given to him. The judge like, you want to take your drugs, you want to be fine, you're giving your children HIV, but you want to be, that's wickedness on your path, and you want to be okay while destroying humanity. We don't think that the drugs can even be administered to you, you know. So I think he died in the prison.
Okay, now
so that's one of the most touching stuff.
You know, there's this also narrative in Africa that's also a saddened one, and many of these men feel if you sleep with a virgin or a child and having HIV solves it. We've seen that also skyrocketed in South Africa. The first time I got wind of this was in South Africa, when they feel sleeping with a virgin or sleeping with a minor does solve that, and it has become a growing trend, which does not. We want to use this opportunity to plead with those persons that have this virus. The only way you can really deal with this virus is to get the required help, and we're talking about medical help. That is the only way. Please, sleeping with minors does not solve or in every way stop you from having the virus. It's not done. If you have it, sleeping with minors does not cure you. So please, that should be stated. Now, I want to come back to you, Israel Joe, and ask you, do some of these children ever get justice?
A lot of these children, you know, our criminal justice system is one, slow. Secondly, it's cost effective because a lot of things are involved. The investigations, you know, the police are not being given enough money to carry out a lot of these things.
Thorough investigations.
Yes, so the victims must provide money for, you know, their transportation. You know, imagine a poor person going from Warri to State CID Asaba to give statement to the police during the investigation, transporting there and back. You know what it means. And sometimes when you get there, the lackadaisical attitude of the security, they are not attending to you until 2, until 3. Then when they are done with you and you have interviewed maybe the CP, the DC, and a lot of these persons, it's already 6 p.m.
And so you need to now sleep behind.
Sleep over.
Money spent.
Yes, a lot of it. So a lot of factors account for not having justice for a lot of persons. Unless if some of these cases come to us, we see how we muzzle our own funds to push the process, like this conviction we got yesterday, the 23rd of February 2026. You know, so we have always tried to support these victims because most of them, once it's a creamy family, they know how they handle it. They don't even want it out. They don't want their daughter's name out there in the space that their daughter was raped. They try to handle it, you know, but a lot of this is happens to the average and the poor for which they want to get justice. And in the process of getting justice, a lot of things happens in the process. We have handled a case. We have handled a case of rape, not defilement now. I'm talking about somebody about 30 years old, that a man deceived, and a lot of those things. Okay, you want to get married? Okay, a lot of those things, fine. But I'm not having anything to do with you until we are married, you know, and a lot of those. So the man, like, okay, you still visit me, fine. She went, visited, and she want to go. The guy locked the door, got a cutlass at Pendle Estate, and we have to do this. Lady was like, no. So he succeeded, you know.
Having his way.
Yes, having his way without the consent of the lady, you know. Arms were involved. He hit her, and fear of don't cut me, don't worry, I will. The lady respected herself because of the fear and did it. After doing it with force, she wore her things and she ran. She reported to the police. At the end of the day, the police she reported to was telling her that they should have the same stuff. was making passes on her that they need to go out. And so it's a very funny journey, Michael. You know, and we have seen a whole lot of these things. And the police I'm talking about is not even like the IPO, it's not like even a CSP or so. He's a policeman that carries a commissioner, assistant commissioner of police.
But is the case now being handled by the police?
At the end of the day, the girl ran. She's not ready
Anyway,
to give. She's not ready to give in.
Okay.
Somebody raped me, and you are demanding sex for me in order for me to get justice. Even when we try to like come, let's report, and you know that you can only fight with people.
So, but anyway, that's more of an allegation till proven true before. That would be. So
it was alleged.
Yeah, it's been alleged. So we want to leave it as it is. But let me come back to you now, because you just give us a narration of how the lady was raped. And many will say, I know some persons, or especially security agents, will say, well, she was negligent in her action in going there in the first place and wanting to spend. No, that is it. But that's not where my question lies now. I want to talk about these parents that their children are being taken or are being taken as victims of these perpetrators. Do you see negligence on the part of the parents of some of these victims? Or what will you say? Because I wonder where a parent will be when somebody is sleeping with his 8-year-old daughter. So is it negligence on the part of some of these parents that eventually, oh, now brother for the compound, then no one now, help and go buy something. This and, you see parents just taking a meal out of some of these things. So do you feel it's negligence on the part of most of these parents that these children end up being raped?
Why we concur to negligence of parents as sometimes part of the causes of rape and defilement. It happens anytime. Even a parent that is not negligent, sometimes a monster is teaching your child in school. We have a case right now. We are always having this case of rape. I quote stations, I quote names, I quote places so that you can fact check me and verify. We have a case right now where a teacher defied the students. The school, I shouldn't mention.
Don't
damage.
Mention. Yeah.
The school is at Okokoko area. The teacher right now is at Orerope police station. No, as yesterday did medical. I think he will be transferred to state CID today. You cannot say that the parent is negligent because the parent expects that sending my child to school, the teacher should be a surrogate parent during that hours of schooling to the child. But you see what happened. You understand? So why negligence of parents is part of it? Society has drifted. Society is also part of it. Teachers are part of it. Our church system do not orient people. Our national orientation agencies, they are sleeping. That one is critically dead. So a whole lot of factors account for rape and defilement in society. And government is one of the biggest factor, because a lot of these factors we mentioned are pointing to the negligence of government. Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria explicitly states that the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. It means that once the welfare of the citizens is not guaranteed, the government has failed. The government should cease to exist if they cannot secure the citizens and give adequate welfare to the citizens. So that's section 42(b) of the 1999 Constitution amended.
So you feel everybody has a stake in the blame for this.
Everybody,
and should not be solely that of the parents.
Everyone has to be blamed. Society is to be blamed. We have the fundamental principles of government that they do not keep. They expect you to keep your own part as citizens and all of. So it's a narrative that the society should come down together. Thank God we now have genuine advocates, and of course the advocacies have gone so far that once you raise any issue of that nature, Nigerians are ready to come out to fight for justice. That was like the first narrative that is being raised by this girl, not quite long, this girl that has been arrested, is being taken seriously by the police, and you cannot raise such allegations. The society frowns at these things. You came online on social media and raised a rape allegation that you were raped by somebody in your house, and they found out that what you said is a lie. You understand? So these are the issues society frown at, and the advocacy has made it possible for people to really attend to a lot of these issues once they are raised on social media. So at the end of the day, you see that the advocacy is pushing a lot of persons, even victims. The advocacy is pushing victims to report, to speak out, speak up, and of course, it's pushing those that are psychologically deranged, that carries out a lot of these actions, to be careful and mindful of their action, knowing fully well that once they are caught, they are going to pay a supreme price for the consequences of their actions.
Well, anyway, whether the consequences of their action or their inactions of government, I want us to still remain with the parents. Do some of these parents go outside the courts to settle some of these matters?
A lot of them.
Hence, we are not hearing more of it.
A lot of them. A lot of some of these cases you hear about is once the suspect fails to settle, that is when they cry out. A lot of these parents, like I will make reference to the most recent one that got sentence and conviction yesterday, like the 60 years old man that got 60 years JTM yesterday. You know, the parent, especially the father, was keen in settling it. It was the mother that was fighting for justice and the soul of her child. That I'm poor, but over my dead body, I will not allow this old man to useless the life of my child, and is out there. The community is also another factor, aside parents. Settling of
settling of some of these issues.
The community, they want to settle issues of rape and defilement.
Which is not right.
Which is wrong.
Which is criminal.
It's totally and absolutely out of their jurisdiction to do. Rape and defilement is purely a criminal matter, and no community has the right or jurisdiction to resolve criminal matters unless it's civil and they feel they should resolve. But once it's not civil, it's criminal, it's against the suspect and the state. You cannot bring to yourself a case that's supposed to be settled by the state, and you are trying to resolve it by yourself. You are arrogating into yourself unnecessary powers that you do not possess as a community. So that is the critical reason why people should speak up, people should report. If you are being threatened by the community, report, find human rights activists, find lawyers, find journalists, find people that can speak up and report to them. We are going to come for those communities. They don't have the capacity to confront security agencies, the old negative nose-diving assertions that police not the entire community is totally lie. There is no community that you have committed a criminal offense and say the security agencies cannot bust out there to bring you out. We smoke them out. So people should be able to speak out, because the parents, the community, they are all complicit of a lot of these rape and defilement issues in society.
Well, anyway, it will be out of place if we do not also look at the trauma being experienced by some of these children. I know you've had the opportunity of talking to some of them. How really traumatic is some of this experience to them when you've had this discussion with them? And how is the mindset of these children over a long period of time?
It's really sorrowing and sorrowful when you speak to a lot of these victims, not just even the children. Sometimes some of these children do not experience this sorrow until they are becoming of age, where they discuss with their friends, where they try to understand that one needs to be a virgin and one does not need to be a virgin. That's when they understand that they have been opened. A lot of these matured ladies, rape victims, they come to the psychological point of not liking men, being insulting, being rash to men. Some of them hate men. They don't want to see men. Some of them that even wants to see a man, if the situation by which they were raped, maybe by criminals, by armed robbers, has to do with darkness. Once they come to your heart, even as a partner, once you switch off the lights, it flies to their memory. Sometimes they start shouting, stop, stop, a whole lot of those. So it has psychological, damaging and demeaning psychological effects on a lot of these ladies in society. And they turn out to want to to pay back society. That's why you see a lot of girls that have been raped and maybe in the process of being raped, they got this HIV virus and they want to spread. Society punish them. They want to punish society. No, so that's how denigrating, how negative the effect could be in society. So they feel that they were punished by society and they have to punish society
more like payback
as well. Yes. So they hate men, they talk rashly. Sometimes you get to marry these persons, they are ever not happy. The traumatic situation of the actions always play back.
It lives like more of a lifetime.
Yes, in them. Unless sometimes they have good parents and counselors that would work them out of that psychological effect by being friendly, by counseling them, by sometimes employing guidance counselor. By God's grace, I'm also a professional guidance counselor. I have a master's degree in psychology guidance and counseling, one of my master's degrees. So I see a lot of these psychological issues coming up where these persons, in order for them to feel where they go into drugs, they want to take drugs to be happy. They want to drink, go into alcoholism to be happy because what they saw, like sometimes you think about the suspect, the human being, like now this person I sleep with me, you have to drink, you have to take drugs, so the effect on society is more deadly than the actions of what these crazy persons did to these victims.
Okay, now let me return you back to one issue we raised initially, and we're talking about the issue of our justice system and how far they've either come to help or maybe their help is not even good enough. Now, let's look at our judiciary. Yes, we do have a law now that was enacted last year for defilement case of minors to carry a life sentence. But let's look at the judiciary itself. And this recent call for death penalty to be the main drive that they feel will end this surge that we're already experiencing. So I want to take on two issues. Number one, should death penalty be introduced? Number two, is our judiciary doing enough?
First, death penalty is not limited to the fact that if it is being approved and given, it will act as deterrent to a lot of persons. And even if death penalty is there on the...
Some people are even talking about castration.
No, I think castration would... I don't think a society would want to approve castration. Death penalty is even more better than castrating these persons. And of course...
No, so at least they don't have the tools to harm anybody again, even in the prison.
Once they don't see that tools to harm people, like I said, the psychological sickness, you can go into other crimes.
Okay, don't mind me. Just go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that since the judiciary, death penalty we talked about, if it's given, it's on books, but it's also at the discretion of the judge to deliver conviction, to deliver sentence after conviction. Then the judiciary, what we're going to do, like I said, is to work along with the judiciary to ensure that within a year, accelerated hearing, although I know that there are stockpiled cases that our judiciary and courts are handling, but within a year is enough time to handle issues of rape and defilement, not keeping it, dragging it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years before answering those cases. Meanwhile, the suspect might be on bail, committing same crime while in court for the same crime. You understand? So accelerated hearing is what we're appealing for to our judiciary to ensure that these cases are taken timely. Within a year, within 6 months, you can conclude a case. It's the steady adjournment of these cases are the reasons for these lengthy and protracted judicial processes. But once our judiciary is taking these cases seriously to handle, when it comes to issues of rape, defilement, they are taking it seriously. If they could undo the issues of rape and defilement the way they handle the election matters in Nigeria, I think that it will create a boost in the fight against rape and defilement in our society. Okay,
now you've just talked about the judiciary and what you feel needs to be done. How important is advocacy in also dealing with this? The reason I talk about advocacy, getting that awareness out, not just only to the victims, but mostly to the perpetrators, and letting them know that their actions will carry such a weighty lead of penalties. So let's look at it. How important is advocacy in dealing with all of these problems? And does it have any major impact, if it is to have to indeed reducing the rate of minor defilement?
I think to a very large extent, whether the centripetal and centrifugal forces that comes with cases of not discussing, with issues of not discussing cases that are already subject to court.
Yeah.
Advocacy is very important. That is the reason we try to escalate and blow it at the initial stage.
Yeah.
That once we put it out there, it conditions every officer that is in. For instance, when this matter happens, we put it out on the social media alleging that this is what has allegedly happened.
Okay.
And the suspect is with the police. The suspect has been charged to court, then we stop talking about it.
Okay.
But people are already aware
Yeah.
that this case is with the police. And once the security forces sees that this case has become a social media issue, it has become, it is in the social media space, they are careful to do their job. They want to do it accordingly to how it is. But once we do not advocate and escalate it out there, compromise will come to play. You see a situation where the IPO is advising them that it's not good to go into case, let's try and settle it, the family should sit down and say, that is a police that supposedly should be fighting justice for victims, advising them to settle behind out of court, do out of court settlement behind a DRO, a lot of that. So advocacy is very important, and we are having a whole lot of persons now, especially ladies, that are coming to say, I want to speak for the girl child, because they were victims of that same thing. So they want to I faced this and I'm out of it. Let me also lend my voice to any issue that has to do with rape and defilement. And I think a lady in Abuja chatted me yesterday night about a case right now in Warri that has to do with rape and defilement, that she was a victim and she has been fighting for the girl child since then. Now she's well to do, and she feels that part of her success should be tied to helping victims and of such situations. So the advocacy is necessary, escalating it is necessary, and justice is absolute.
Well, anyway, still talking about absolute. I know some parents might be watching this video and like, oh, this has affected me. This has affected my child. And I don't really know how to go about it. So let's talk. I really want you to go directly to these parents. Now, if you are being faced in such situation, if you're a young girl being faced with such situation, if you're a child being faced with such situation, if you're a parent being faced with such, what should be the best approach to take? What should they do? Listening or watching us at the moment?
Yes, I think that if anyone is faced with this situation, either your friend, your child, your relative, or family, fans, if they are faced with this situation, try to look out for human rights activists, lawyers, and reports. The truth remains that we are professional enough to conceal your image and expose the image of the suspect. I'm Israel Joe across all my Facebook platforms, Israel Joe 1 on Instagram and X platform. And please try and report, speak out. That is the only way you can save your child from such harassment, because anybody that harasses, that sexually assaults your child or your family member or so, we start them coming out to report. They want to do it again. They think that the fear and threat has held the victim down. So they want to go for the victim again. But once it is reported, they will not have the time to go. They will now be facing their own criminal charges. So try and look for ways to speak out and report. That is the only way you can give justice to victims. And of course, I do not think that any human rights activists, journalists, lawyers, advocates, or so we want to put your picture out there once you report. No, we are professional enough to conceal the identity of victims and expose the image of the suspect. So if you are faced with this situation, try to speak out. Look for advocates, look for journalists, look for freelancers, and of course, people that are interested in dealing with this, look for counselors and tell them they know how to go about this, and it will help build a positive society. Once we have a whole lot of these issues unattended to, a lot of the issues we are facing with our youth today, they are issues that society refused to attend to when these persons were children.
Okay.
Do you get it? So now they have grown and it's been escalated in society. For instance, drug abuse. When they were coming up, when they did it the first time, there is this urge to do it again, but nobody was looking out for them. Nobody was there to put them right. And of course, the age of adolescence, Michael, when you start seeing puberty, maybe from maybe 11 down as a teenager, age of adolescence, is regarded by psychologists as an age of storm and stress. These persons are under pressure. Already. These persons are under the influence of peer group. These persons are under the influence of matured ego. They have started developing themselves as man. They started developing themselves as woman. They don't want to see their pulse. They want to tell you cannot beat me anymore. I'm not a big girl. I'm not a big boy. That storm and stress can be directed positively. But once you fail as a parent at that point, that child may have been gone. So look out for people you can report to. You can put them under to mentor them, to talk to them, to speak to them, to guide them. Most especially because even some of the teachers you think would guide them are even the main persons perpetrating this act and crime against humanity. So speak up and report these cases, and we are going to take it up with everything we've got.
Well, talking about taking it up, I feel we've really taken our time in really emphasizing on this very topic, and we're talking about the issue of dealing with the recent spike in the issue of child defilement and how that seems to be a trending problem, especially with some of huge successes as the concerned cases against some of these perpetrators, and how far it will help all of us as a people to not just better protect the girl but also the boy child, and see how they can be sane and also effective leaders when they finally grow up to add their own quota to this very great nation. But anyway, our own thank will be to thank you so much. I'm talking of no other person but activists, Dress Joe. We've been talking for close to an hour now. And well, anyway, you know, time is never a friend when we are having such important and lovely discussions. But all the same, we want to truly appreciate your coming and also your insight. And then tell you we're really appreciating the good job you're doing as it concerns getting justice for some of these voiceless Nigerians that feel they don't have the voice or do not sound loud enough to deal with their issues. Thank you so much, Idris.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Well, anyway, for us, it's more like a wrap on the show today. Like I will always emphasize, you know, the discussion does not end here. It still continues, and I'll plead with you, let those comments, reactions, and also contribution come. We're talking about dealing with the rising cases of defilement of minors, not just old persons, but minors that really have no power, no voice, and sometimes no bearing as it concerns those perpetrators are having on them. I will tell you to send those comments, reactions, and contribution. Our social media platforms will be on the screen. They are there already. Also, would do us a favor and do us more good if you send those reactions to follow. And I will be more than appreciative to read them out when they finally come. But talking about coming, well, definitely you do know that the news will come pretty soon, as much as what will trend. With trending taking center stage. But for me, Michael Gobadia, it's a quick bye-bye. God bless you. We'll see you later. Bye for now.